Ayont Ballantoy, where gilder wild Atlantic's waves, our Gless makers work wi' nature's lave. A mermaid's purse in Gless, a sea-rack ring, they ply wi' tinty grace her offerings. There's nae skaith in spindrift gear that minds us o' the unkent riches in the world we find. Yin breath boosts base Gless tae polished gem, and ancient skills leave on in North Antrim.
My name's Scott Benefield. I'm a glass blower. I make a range of blown glassware from the furnace here at our facilities.
I'm Andrea Spencer, and I am a flame worker, and I make work for exhibition and galleries, and I also facilitate workshops and classes from my studio.
We don't collaborate.
No, well, we have done. We did collaborate on...
We don't collaborate very well.
Our work's very different.
It is. It's just coming from very different places. Andrea's is a lot more sculptural, mine's more functional.
I mean, the difference between our two studio environments as well is, is quite extreme. Mine is rambling and organised chaos, whereas Scott's is very...
Just organised.
Organised.
Andrea does the landscaping.
I do the landscaping, yeah.
Embrace the mesmerising craft of a man and wife pair as they shape and breathe life into glass at their workshop on the outskirts of Ballycastle, where every piece is a testimony to their shared passion and skill.
Anybody who works in crafts, say, I think has an attachment to the material they're working with. Like you'll hear potters talk about clay in the same way, but it should always be moving. It's hardly ever at a stationary kind of point. My process starts slightly differently because that initial bubble that you have in the end of the blowpipe is constructed rather than just gathered out of a homogeneous mass of glass. And the reason you do that is so that you can embed a pattern in the glass. And that's an old Italian Renaissance technique that's called cane work. And then as the glassblowing process changes that, as it gets inflated or stretched or tooled and changes shape, the pattern kind of reflects that.
When I came over in '93, people were kind of staggered that I was coming in this direction and other people going in the opposite direction, really. But it was definitely the generosity and the warmth of the people that I remember first keeping me here. I would have spent a lot of time, rough camping along the coastline all around Ireland, but White Park Bay was always kind of like a magnet for me. So my work is influenced by observing what I find in nature and then bringing it back into the studio and kind of reinterpreting it. So when Scott found this place, which is just 2 miles inland from White Park Bay, it sort of just seemed like a really good fit for me. So a mermaid's purse is the egg sac from the cat shark. And it fascinates me because it's just this incredible piece of design by nature. And so the fish expels the egg sac in the sea, and then that egg sac gets fertilized outside of the fish, and then it sinks to the bottom of the ocean bed, and it starts to grab onto the seaweed by the tendrils that it has. So it has everything it needs inside the egg sac to sustain the gestation period. This thing that once had this really important and incredible purpose and this incredible design that then is kind of cast out onto the strand line. And I like all the associations that are in there that sort of relate to ideas of the human condition. Really, I get quite tickled by the fact that, you know, we're doing this in this very discreet rural environment. And then there's days when, you know, Scott's been working in the studio and we have somebody turn up for a delivery and they come in and they just sort of drop the parcel off and they don't seem to even notice that there's like this incredible material being worked, and just kind of, that tickles me quite a bit.
They have a polite lack of interest in what you're doing around here.
Yeah.
It's good, it's discreet.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there'd been an industry in Ballycastle that had been started by Hugh Boyd, who's an Ulster-Scot back in the middle of the 18th century. And he had all the elements between the sand on the beach, the coal that was mined in Ballycastle, and the other elements that you need to make glass. So he started a factory. It was a big traditional glass cone factory that employed people from the area. I think the first time I heard about that was the estate agent who worked with us to buy the property was a collector of Ballycastle glass, and when we told him what we wanted to do on the property to blow glass, he brought 2 bottles from his collection, and so I've kept them in the studio ever since then. This would have been for drink, or for, a lot of them did medicinal bottles, things like that, but it was done completely by hand. You know, that was way before that bottling process was mechanized. I was just stunned when he brought these by, and so we sort of made a place for him in the studio. There's not much blowing involved in glass blowing. A lot of it is tooling and gravity and centrifugal force and just managing the heat within the piece so you can shape it very selectively and very precisely. It's sort of like playing music, you know, because it takes place in real time. You know, there's no stopping and starting, and you know, with that you have to know your instrument. And with glass blowing, you know, you can't really do it without knowing the material, and the only way to do that is through experience.
I suppose if you really fully understand exactly what's happening, you know, at the molecular level when you're heating it and stretching it and changing it, then you can minimize the chances of things breaking and cracking. You can try your best to build on your knowledge, but you don't always know exactly what's going to happen. It has an unpredictability, and I guess that's the beauty of it too. But I guess if it was easy, then everybody would be doing it, isn't that what they say?